Hello and welcome to Oasis of Grace, or God is Love. So I would like to just jump right in and attach a template for us to work through as we look at real warfare. For those of you who are new in this channel, we focus on narcissistic abuse and narcissistic spiritual abuse, because there's a physical experience to it and then there's also a spiritual aspect to it. On the first episode, I was introducing real warfare versus the counterfeit warfare, and along with that, before we proceed any further, I just want us to look at the template of smears, impositions. Okay, I'm just going to stop there for now. Smears and impositions. Later on, I'm going to tie the two of them with another word. So smears and impositions are things that, or concepts rather, that we learn of in narcissism. And we've learned these concepts through the human-to-human relational narcissism. Impositions is when people suggest things to you or they force things on you. In most cases, you would be unwilling. So this iron fisting other people, this twisting of other people's arms is called impositions. That is just my definition of it. I haven't looked up the dictionary version of it, because what I found is that with a lot of spiritual abuse, how things are defined on paper or on Google, they differ from our experiential reality of those things. Okay, so then the next word I want us to understand is smear. So in human relational narcissism, a smear is when people defile your character. It's when people defile who you are as a person, how you do things, any manner and form of defilement, any manner and form of painting a person to be something that they're not. That is a smear. A smear is something that we normally see being orchestrated by the covert narcissist, the matriarch or patriarch, whoever is higher up in the hierarchy. Those are the people that are very good with smearing, because they need everyone else to have a certain view of their target. And of course, the flip side of the coin would then be them having a different look, which would be a better look in society. So in the dynamic of family, it would be a parent who is very good at community work, who's probably even a church leader, who does all these nice things for everyone. But then at home, where their love, care, hospitality, kindness, compassion is needed, it's void. And instead, the children are abused, they are triangulated, they are smeared, and they are assigned these crazy narcissistic roles, of which if you do not fulfill them, then you get the worst rage from that parent. And more often than not, children that have narcissistic parents, whenever they go attempt to get help, maybe from relatives, community members, church members, they get to be seen as the ones who have a problem. They're the ones that are wrong, or they're the ones that are just inherently dysfunctional, or something is just not adding up with them. And what I love about the real warfare that we're beginning to unpack here is that it is literally a parallel of the human relational warfare. And this correlation is not just by coincidence. The real warfare that God's children are actually dealing with after they have peeled back the counterfeit warfare, which would be the human relational warfare, then you get to realize, oh my gosh, so I'm done with level 1 of warfare, and now everything that I was dealing with on level 1, I now have to deal with it again on level 2. However, the complexities on level 2 are far greater. The manipulation thereof, the smears, the impositions thereof, they are much more intense, much more forceful. And because it's in the spiritual realm, because it's in Satan's arena, then the weapons get to be much more complicated. But blessed be the name of the Lord, because God said that the weapons of our warfare are sophisticated. I love that verse so much, particularly that translation which says so, because that is literally how we get to conquer and win. And remember, we are more than conquerors because Christ conquered for us. We are more than conquerors because Satan is defeated already. So everything he's doing, he is desperate. He desperately wants to cause as much damage as possible, because he knows that he's defeated. He knows that he doesn't have any time. The reason why I laid such a strong foundation on human relational narcissism, it was so that when we move on to the spiritual aspect of things, you can have that template laid out. So from the human relational aspect of things, the main thing that we're just going to take away are the behaviors, the manipulations thereof. We're going to take just all the things that targets get to experience, which is inflicted on them by the narcissist, and then in this case apply it to how Satan then inflicts it. Here's something I said to myself, just pondering on my own, because I've experienced a lot of narcissism in my life. And those that are narcissistic towards children, those that want to twist the will of children, blackmail children, do all these things to children to get them to operate outside of their will and to operate from a state of fear and force. I was so upset at one incident the other day, and I said in my heart, these people, you are literally a rapist. If you are a narcissistic person, you are a rapist, because the level of force you need to apply on a person to have your way with them, mind you, they're unwilling. It shows that you are innately a predator. That's literally what I said. And I love how this expression that just rose up in my heart, I love how it stands shoulder to shoulder with impositions and smears, because impositions are forceful. Impositions don't ask for your permissions. They're extremely impolite, rude, forceful, and you would never agree to them willingly, but they are forced on you. Similarly with smears, a person who smears you is someone who is so desperately forceful in their heart and so determined, diabolically determined to do something against you, and in most cases something that is not true of who you are. In human relational narcissism, smears are often for character purposes. It's when the narcissist dehumanizes you and they just devalue you, they marginalize you in front of other people, and they isolate you so that they can continue lying on you and paint you out to be the problem while they perpetually abuse you. And such abuse being facilitated, of course, in the family or in the church space. And as I mentioned, for the purpose of this channel, all of the episodes and recordings, they're just strictly going to be on church and family. I'm aware that there are other dynamics of narcissism, like the corporate narcissism and whatever relational, romantic relationships, dating. That's true, valid, and fine. However, my portion or instruction from the Lord is just concerning these two, because these two are the most sensitive. They are Satan's most subtle and powerful tool that his children need to be aware of. Because once we are aware of these things, then we'll spot them, then we'll be able to stop them, and humanity can progress to becoming a defense force against our true enemy, which is Satan. Human relational narcissism is just a matter of those that are being used as perpetrators of narcissism. They're either enjoying it because they're getting a power fix, they're getting an adrenaline, and their power hunger gets fulfilled. Or secondly, Satan is using them unwillingly, unbeknownst. But the second one is a really weak option. I strongly believe that everyone knows exactly what they're doing, because God hardwired us, God engineered us with the Holy Spirit. That is why you find that even the highest order occultist will convert, because innately we all know the truth. We all know what is right and what is wrong. We all know how God designed us. We all know what is godly and what is ungodly. So I will catch you guys on the next one. For now, I'm just gonna stop here, but I want you to understand and grasp the importance of how impositions, smears, and rape, how they parallel between human relational narcissism as well as the standard spiritual abuse narcissism. And later on, when we get deeper into it, you're going to understand why I mentioned rape, because the manner in which narcissism is orchestrated and applied to humanity, the forcefulness of it, the iron fisting of it has a lot to do with what happens to people through spiritual abuse, which is actually the real warfare, which Satan doesn't want people to understand, and he doesn't want people to even realize. He wants people to be so hung up, to be so hooked, frustrated, angered, and fixated on human relational narcissism and all these battles within that dynamic, when it's actually just the tentacles. The real warfare or true narcissism attack on humanity is from Satan himself. So thank you for tuning in. The next video is going to cover real warfare and narcissism. Again, here we are just going to be getting the meat of how the real warfare is actually spiritual narcissism, but it's gonna all be from the foundational understanding of human relational narcissism, and then the spiritual warfare aspect of it, which explains why the real warfare that humanity is dealing with is spiritual narcissism, not human relational. So thank you so much. And those of you that don't really understand the concept of narcissism and what takes place in it, please refer back to the other videos that have been covered in this channel or on the podcast. I think I have a playlist podcast where I just covered the basics of narcissism, because that is very important for you to understand and for you to see the spiritual warfare for what it is, true spiritual warfare that is. Because narcissism on its own, it is warfare. However, it is counterfeit warfare, and I did mention that when something is counterfeit, it does work. However, it's not the real thing. So me saying narcissism is warfare that is counterfeit doesn't nullify its detriment or effectiveness or impact in our lives. It alludes to the reality that it is a distraction. It's a spiritual distraction. Satan put it there so that he can distract us from the real warfare that humanity is facing. So thank you so much. I will catch you on the next one. Goodbye. God bless you.